Hey guys, I want to share with you a little preview of my upcoming track Rise together with Infact, and down below there's going to be a pre-save link. If you click that, that would be amazing. Thanks for the support. Hey guys, my name is Nabiri and it's time for another Synth Saturday. And we're going to continue with mixing down the drop of one more time. So the kick is split in 3 stems. We got a ghost punch, we got a normal punch, and the tail. You might notice that the ghost punch and the normal punch are the same, but we're going to use the ghost punch to use as a sidechain signal for the leads. So in the mixer, we want to use the ghost channel without output, so it doesn't go to the master, and we'll just leave it be for later on. And then we'll take the punch and the tail and we'll mix those in first. So what I'm going to do first is I'm just going to start with a blank punch, getting that in there at the right volume, and then I'm going to do the tail. I just like to keep the volume quite low on my headphones just to be sure that I really hear what I'm doing. But if you just put the kick at the right volume, there shouldn't be too much problems in there to get the mix right. Now, mixing down kicks and a melody isn't that hard, but sometimes you just need a little bit of EQ to just make that punch come through, or maybe you have the sub have a little bit more crunch or less crunch. So that just depends, but I hear that the punch could just use a little bit more mids and maybe some highs, and that's it. Now this balance with the kick and the melody is already quite nice, and there's not really too much to do after this. We're going to use the ghost punch right now, and we're going to route this to the buzz of our lead. So that's this one. We're just going to click sidechain to this track, and on here we're going to open a limiter, and I'll show you how to do that. I like to use free delimiter. Just go to the compressor side and select the right input channel, so the ghost punch. Pull down the threshold and pull up the knee a little bit, and then we'll tweak it later on when the drop is playing. Let's turn on the ghost channel and let's get into that sidechain. What you're probably noticing right now is that the lead gets squashed and the sidechain is way too heavy. So if your limiter starts using the limiter as well, you can just raise the ceiling so that the limiter won't do anything. So let's do that first of all, and then with the compression, as you can see over here, the curve for when the sidechain releases is just way too slow. So we're going to turn this up a little bit by pulling down the release, making the release time shorter. And then we're going to tweak the knee and the threshold just to get the right amount of sidechain. You don't want to have too much sidechain so that you really hear the lead being sidechain, but you just wanted to have it a little bit in there so that the punch can kick through nicely. And a little amount like this can really just do the trick. Now I am hearing that we have a little bit too less highs in the leads, and the way I want to solve that is by using passive EQ. If you don't have passive EQ, you can just use shelve or maybe boost the highs a little bit. But I just find that passive EQ just boosts the highs quite nice. You just lift this up a little bit and yeah, it just makes the highs nice. And I also felt that the melody needed a little bit more reverb, so I just adjusted that a little bit. But really, both sounds are huge. The melody is huge and the kick is huge, and that can make it seem difficult to get a nice mix down. But really, it's just a matter of balancing the right volumes, and that's it. Now we got these 3 channels over here. And these 3 channels are just going to be there to fill up in between the kick and the melody. So the first thing we're going to do with these sounds is just give it a low cut, because the kick is taking care of the lows in the drop. So let's take away the lows on these samples. And now the thing I want to do with this middle sample is it's just the most transient sample. So I want to squash the transient a little bit so it gets a little bit louder and easier to mix down. If you don't do this, you can really have a mix where you can really hear the transient of a certain sample, but you don't really hear that body of the sample. So that's why we're doing it. We're just gonna pull the dynamics a little bit to the right, put it to a clean tube, and that's it. And we're gonna put this saturation before the low cut, so that the lows will still be taken away. But yeah, it's just to make sure that the body from this sample just stands out a little bit more, instead of just having that transient pop up. And now what we're going to do is we're going to take the kick and we're going to mix down these samples on top of the kick. And now we're going to take the melody, put that on top of there, and just make sure that everything's balanced. And that's how I mix down my melodies. Next time, just know that even though the sounds are big, the mix down can still be quite easy. I hope you liked this and you learned something from this, and hopefully I'll see you back soon again. Cheers!